Hi, everybody. I'm DJ Foster, joined by Grand Valley State head football coach Matt Mitchell. It's National Signing Day. It's sort of a national holiday for everyone, certainly across the nation, and it's a big day here in Allendale. Coach Mitchell, congratulations for getting through this process and getting to today. Before we get into all the recruits individually, talk about the recruiting process a little bit. You just relieved it's over and kind of excited to move on from what you've been able to do the past few months?
Yeah, no doubt. I think I've got to give a lot of thanks to our staff. You know, this was definitely a challenge for us this year in terms of recruiting with the class of 2014. You know, the first thing, we played 4 weeks later than anybody else in our league.
Sure.
And, you know, with having our last regular season game on December 14th, we obviously had a month where we're trying to win football games where other people were focused on recruiting with their staffs because their seasons were done. So that was a challenge. It was good that we had identified a lot of our prospects throughout the course of the summer months, and it had a lot of kids up on game day visits. And I think that was a big key, is we had 9 home games this year, and great crowds, great atmosphere. Definitely helped us out a ton. So we get off the road December 14th after playing Northwest Missouri State in the national semifinal, and we've got to go right to work with recruiting. Lost a coach immediately, and then we also lost another coach later in the process. So down 2 coaches, had to really rely on our other assistants, and I thought those guys, did a great job of maintaining those relationships and kind of seeing the thing through. So weather was a challenge too. We had some school closures, some things happened. It was a lot of snow across the state. So all those things, those are hurdles we had to overcome. Losing coaches, a later start to the process, and I just feel really good about this class. And I think the other thing too is it's not as big a class as maybe we've had in the past because we only had 13 seniors on this team. Mm-hmm. And, we've got 26 juniors coming back being seniors. We signed a great class last year. A bulk of our squad is coming back. I mean, you look offensively, we lost 1 offensive lineman, who's a great one, in Matt Armstrong, and 2 wide receivers. That's all we lost off our offense. Right. So from a scholarship standpoint, I did not have a ton of what we would call cap space to work off to sign. So we had to really make great decisions because we knew it was going to be a smaller class because of the scholarship numbers I was working on. And it's a good thing. We only lost 13 seniors, and we've got a good crew coming back. We had to make good decisions, and I think we did a great job in state and out of state getting some great prospects.
I was going to ask you how difficult it was to be recruiting but still be playing, like you said, into mid-December, and how much of a disadvantage that was. Flip it on the other side. How much of an advantage was it? Obviously, you can play off the tradition here. That's a huge thing. Everyone knows that. But it's one of those, what have you done for me lately? So when you go into these recruits' houses and say, hey, we're in the national semifinals, we were 12-3, we made it to the Final Four, essentially. How much of a positive was that for you guys to use for this class?
It was great. I mean, it again, this season showed the relevance of Grand Valley football. It showed that we're very much relevant in the national scene. The fact that we could end up number 3 in both polls and lose a pretty close game to the eventual national championship.
Right.
Who did, they obviously won at Northwest, did a great job, but we felt like our program was right there regarding a lot of the Division II powers, and I think that helped us immensely. Playing on ESPNU, and our game has continued to be a rebroadcast on that. Having that big playoff win against Saginaw at home, coming back and having a big playoff win against West Texas A&M at home. Some of our recruits are at both those playoff games, while other people on the road don't have much to recruit to. Here we have those playoff games that they can come and see, and I think that definitely helped us also.
This is always an interesting day because you have the signing class. It's great to talk about these guys and mention them and kind of see what the future holds. But it's so tough because some of these guys might not hit the field for 1, 2, 3 years. So it's tough to evaluate a signing class today. But do that. How do you feel you guys did with this class? Are you pleased? I heard you say somewhere it was quality over quantity.
Absolutely, quality over quantity. And as I said, we didn't have as much scholarship dollars to work with as we did last year. Last year we signed 36, and that's a great class that's working out with us right now. And they're going to have an impact on 2014. We had to be good in terms of our evaluation because we knew we weren't going to have a huge class, and we had to be spot on with our quality. I'd tell you, a lot of times DJ came back to, as we're watching tape and dealing with the people, is this a kid that can help us get to a semifinal and win a semifinal game from a talent perspective? And a lot of these kids, that was a resounding yes. Not only based on their talent, but based on who they are as people too. Their character, their academics, the fit they were for Grand Valley State as an institution, the fit that they were for our football program. We had to check a lot of boxes, and we felt like with these guys, even though they're not a big class, we really checked a lot of those boxes that they're going to be guys in the future that can help us get back to those semifinal games and hopefully win them.
You've been here for a while now. Can you compare this recruiting class to any years past? Similarities, differences?
Yeah, it's tough. Last year, you always think about last year. Last year we signed 36, and we had some super talented kids that are working out with us that I know are going to help us based on going through them with lifting and the workouts that we're doing right now. But I think there's some guys in there that are top end caliber talents for Division II that I think can definitely help us. I think the other thing about this class unique, we addressed some specialists, and that may not be very glamorous.
Right.
We hit some guys, some long snappers, some kickers, and punters. That as we started, a lot of our specialists, you talk about Lucas Kozio, our long snapper, is gone, and Chris Picano, our punter, is going to be a senior. Marco Adjonas is going to be a senior. We had to plan towards the future of those positions. I think that's the unique thing about this class is the depth and the strength that we have, too, at the specialist position.
Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the recruits. I'll kind of just to leave it up to you. Start, obviously, with the glamorous positions, the skill players on offense that you bring in.
Very excited about Jalen Bryant. He's a running back from Livonia, Clarenceville. Helped that team in a deep playoff run. And was just an offensive threat. I think he could play running back here, wide receiver here, can run, is very tall. And I think more than anything, we're impressed about him, who he was as a person. He verbally committed to us and stuck with that. Just a high-character kid, smile on his face, really a bounce in his steps. We're excited about that. Brandon Mabel is a running back from East Noble, Indiana. And Indiana's been good to us and has continued to be good to us, especially up in that northern tier, the South Bends and the Fort Waynes. And he comes from East Noble High School. And just a very elusive back, our type of back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can make some people miss and do those type of things. And then I'm not sure if he's a fullback, a tight end, an H-back. Colin Beebe here from Allendale. We just like the way he approached the game. His dad's a football alumni. We've known about him, obviously. Coach Burke does a great job at Allendale High School. Had him at our summer camp and just saw a physical player playing D-line, playing fullback. I just think he's a good football player. He'll fit into our system. So it's important for us to get the Jalen Bryants and the Brandon Marbles because, we got 3 senior tailbacks next year. And those guys are going to be graduating. Getting these guys in and developing them is going to be critical.
Okay, talk about some of the pass catchers you brought in, Mitch. Obviously, there's 4 guys in the group of the wide receivers, tight ends, and one has already been compared to Jamie Potts as well.
Yeah, Brett Morris is from Warren D. LaSalle High School, a really strong program on the east side of the state. And probably last time I'll say this, but he's the brother of Shane Morris, who started the bowl game for University of Michigan, a quarterback there. But Brent's his own man, and we were impressed with his tape. More impressed we had on campus just getting to know him. Super competitive person, great ball skills. And the home visit really got to know his mom and dad, who'd obviously been through this recruiting process a lot before, but great people. And I think he's just a great fit for Grand Valley from a student, academic, social, and just a football player. And I think he's a guy we can move around. He can play wide out, he can play tight end, and is kind of a mismatch guy because he has a lot of different skill sets. And then obviously moving forward, the rest of the guys, you look at Connor Nally is from Oswego in Illinois. He's kind of in that same mold, a little bit of Brent, just from the standpoint that he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. You can do different things with him. We had him in our summer camp. Loved his ball skills too. Can really catch the ball. A true playmaking threat on the outside is Marquand Sargent. He's from Muskegon, Mona Shores. Fast, can really stretch the field. Great ball skills, and was a big part of their playoff run and explosive offense that Mona Shores had. And then a true tight end, a guy that you can put on the line of scrimmage, can stress the defense from a pass standpoint, but it can also set the edge of your run game. As a physical player is Mitch Von Zitowitz from Utica High School. Our first commit of the year, like a guy that was all into Grand Valley early in the process, offered, we got it done, and just really stuck with us. And just another, again, great family from the east side of the state.
Now, who's going to be blocking for these guys? Obviously, that's a strength of your teams recently. Obviously, with the Cam Bradfields, Nick McDonald's, Matt Armstrongs, Tim Lolitos. Talk about some of the offensive linemen coming in.
Signed 3 offensive linemen. Our top tackle prospect was actually out of the state of Kentucky, Ben Walling, and guy that we came across from recruiting Cincinnati. He was on the other side of the border over there in Kentucky. And what we're looking for in an offensive tackle: tall, lean, long, powerful, great student, getting some academic money here at Grand Valley, great person, and verbally committed to us and had some other 1AA offers and stuff that he kind of stuck with us. So that was great. In-state, a very powerful inside guy, Ryan Egan from Montrose High School. That's great at the point of attack, very physical player. And Montrose has always had a great program that prides itself on their strength and power, and he is that. And then, on the east side of the state, we got another commit from Nelson Schrader, who was an offensive lineman from Detroit Catholic Central, another great program over there. It's had a lot of success. So not a big class, like I said before, but we feel great about the quality of it. And I think we've got a great tradition here at Grand Valley with 4 offensive linemen. If Matt Armstrong will get drafted, which I think he will in the league next year, we'll have 4 guys in the NFL. And I think some of those guys gravitated towards how we develop linemen at Grand Valley and chose us over some other institutions.
Let's flip over to the other side of the ball. Who will be the guys battling in the trenches on the defensive line? You're a defensive guy. It's an important position.
Well, no doubt. I think if you look at our run that we made in 2013, we got better play up front on our D-line, and it's critical. If you're going to be good on defense, you got to be great up front. And we got 4 guys I think are going to be really good players. Albert Williams from Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis is a great player. He led the state of Indiana in sacks and was eighth nationally in terms of sacks and production. Just a lot of tackles for loss. Very hard guy to block. Not super tall, 6'1" guy, but 260 pounds, a lot of twitch and gets after it. And that's a strong program in the city of Indianapolis. And then 3 other guys in state. Locally, Jacob Howe from Forest Hills Northern, high academic person, getting some football money and scholarship for academically here from the university. And a motor, intensity, just high will to do well. He's an overachiever. And then 2 guys from the east side of the state, John Samudi from Saline, another high-intensity defensive lineman that could play inside or outside. Really got to know John in the recruiting process, a great kid. And then, obviously, Tyler Kukovic. Tyler Kukovic played at UD Jesuit, loved him in the summer, came up to multiple games here, really started to develop an affinity for us and our staff. It's hard to find that type of guy, big physical interior defensive lineman that comes from a high school program. It's very good. Again, we had some things going with him with some other schools, hung with us, great family, and really appreciate his commitment to Grand Valley in the process.
Let's go to the next line of defense behind those D linemen. You have a couple of linebackers that you signed in this class.
Yeah, Christian Harris was a mid-year enrollee, originally from Georgia, had played at Tennessee the past couple years, started on a lot of special teams, was a reserve linebacker for the Volunteers. I think wanted to play a little bit more, and so he kind of looked at some top Division II programs, contacted us, had him on an official visit, and he came mid-semester. So he's with our guys right now, lifting and working out and running, and can really bind into Grand Valley football. So excited to have him going through spring ball as we look to replace a lot of linebackers that we graduated. And then Raju Blackman from Snyder High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. A powerful player that's a good athlete. A 215-pound kid that I think can continue to grow and develop. A lot of snap, a lot of physicalness, what you need in the inside linebacker. And again, had some stuff going with some other schools and really hung in there with us late in the process. And, we didn't sign a lot of those guys because we really felt good about our recruiting class last year at the linebacker position. But these are 2 guys that we can bring in and can have an impact potentially.
Obviously, the back end of the defense, the defensive backs, always good to have strength at that position, and you got a couple with you as well.
Yeah, you feel great about all 3 of the guys that signed there. Dejan Morgan was a highly sought-after athlete at South Bend Riley High School, played quarterback and defensive back. And Northern Indiana's, got really good football, and we're getting a lot more kids out of that area that have an affiliation with Grand Valley. And I think some of that has to do with Coach Kelly at Notre Dame. There's just a lot more name recognition with Grand Valley up in Northern Indiana. But he was a great player, a lot of things going on, and got him committed. And, I think he has a chance to be a good one. From over on the east side of the state, Renaissance High School, Jonathan Clark. We liked his tape, loved his workout. I think he could play corner or safety here. Like to have those multiple guys. Tall, can run, rangy player. And then Brendan McMahon, who was his brother. If Laker fans might remember, Kyle McMahon was our starting quarterback in 2010. Was at Bishop Foley High School and did everything. He's another quarterback / athlete, just like Dejan. So we got a couple guys there who played a lot of football and helped their teams progress in the playoffs. And the McMahons, I think Kyle transferred here from Eastern Michigan, had a great experience, and I think Brendan's going to follow in his brother's footsteps and be a very good player.
Mitch, you always talk about 3 phases of the game, obviously offense, defense, but special teams is just as important. And as you mentioned earlier, you got some specials that you feel pretty excited about.
Yeah, we're excited about this class. We're trying to build towards the future with this recruiting class, especially at that position. We had 1 senior and 2 guys that are going to be seniors that are leaving of those positions have been great performers for us. So you start with Lucas Cozy, who was our long snapper the last 3 years. Really consistent, did a great job. He graduated. So we signed a young man from Lumen Christi High School that's a long snapper named Jay Fleming. Great skill set. And I think if there's anybody that could come in and potentially play away as a freshman, it might be him because of how we do things. Spencer Hurst is a kicker from Orchard Lake St. Mary's High School. On the east side of the state, big leg. Marco Iardros has done a great job on the kickoffs for us. He's going to be a senior. We really want to try to get the next maybe kickoff guy in our program. Not saying Joel can't do it, but it really helps your program if you have one guy doing the extra point field goals and another guy doing the kickoffs, just in terms of things. So I think Spencer's got a chance to compete for that job and come in and do a good job pushing Marco and being the guy potentially moving forward. And then finally, Colin Cribley from Fruitport, Michigan, a guy that is not very big person, but he's got a huge leg and can really swing the field and help our defense. If you look what Chris Picano did in the Colorado State Pueblo game against the number 1 team in our region, we only gave up 1 touchdown in the second half and won that game because we gave our defense great field position with our punt team with Chris. And I think Colin's got a chance to do that too. So I'm really setting the table and the foundation for specialists moving forward. And we've won some football games around here, especially some of those playoff games with great special teams play.
Right.
And the fake punt against West Texas, big. There's a lot of moments I could look back to on our run there to the semifinal where we had great specialists play, and we feel good about those guys and invest in them for the future of this program.
It's been an exciting few months here in Allendale. Obviously, the run to the playoffs, to the Final Four. Just kind of recap the season: 12-3, national semifinal appearance. You get to the Final Four again, and as you said, you eventually lose to the national champion, which I guess is probably a good thing. At least you want to lose to the team that wins it all. But it's been an exciting few months. Talk about the momentum that's kind of carried off from the end of mid-December and into the holidays, and now into this first part of the semester.
Well, it's been a whirlwind, that's for sure. I think credit to our kids and our coaches. After a 4-2 start, stayed true to the process. We got healthier. We got healthier as a team. We got some guys back off some injury, and really played great defense down the stretch when you look at the playoff games. And so for us to go 4-2 and reel off 8 straight and get to a national semifinal, be the only team out of our region to advance, I think says a lot about who we are and how we approach things. Mm-hmm. We're not a hot and cold squad. We kind of stayed true to the process, and we did well. We had some games we had to come back in, which again shows the character I think that we have here within our building. So obviously disappointing that we lost Northwest. We had opportunities in that game, and I haven't really spoke a ton about that, but we had 5 trips inside the red zone. We only got 1 touchdown. Could have played a little bit better defensively and done some things. We had opportunities to win that game, and you look back on there. It wasn't like we just, were there. We were competing, and we have some regrets from that game. We think we could have done some things different to affect the outcome of the game, but you got to give Northwest credit. They were the number 1 team in the nation. Obviously, when you saw the national championship game, I thought they dominated Lenore Ryan even more than the score showed. Mm-hmm. So we felt like, we were close to being in that position. So we have a ton of momentum coming back and a lot of experience. As I mentioned, we've got 26 guys that were juniors that are going to come back as seniors. It starts with our quarterback, Heath Parling, mm-hmm. and you get those guys back, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting in there, and you can already sense that within our team as they head into workouts. So it's been a challenge too. December 14th playing, recruiting, losing a couple coaches, have to hire some new coaches and kind of get things going. So there are some challenges, but I like the mindset of our players and workouts right now.
So we've looked at the 2014 signing class. Before we let you go, let's just look at the 2014 schedule for some of the fans that haven't seen it yet. 5 home games this year. You had 7 last year, which is a little bit abnormal. And you start off on the West Coast against Azusa Pacific. Some big rivalry games at Ferris State, at Saginaw Valley State. Talk a little bit about the home schedule, just the schedule in general.
Well, we got to be ready to go early in 2014. If you look at what Azusa Pacific did after they played us, they had a great season, a tremendous season. Their strength of schedule helped us, in terms of getting into the playoffs. So we got to take a charter flight out to Los Angeles and play in a tough environment in Los Angeles with a 3-hour time change. On a Saturday, come back Sunday, and we've got Ohio Dominican. So that's going to be a big challenge. Playing Azusa Pacific with a lot of returning starters. Their back is back. Their running back was a very good player. He's back. Big challenge on the road in Los Angeles. Come back on a shorter week. Got to play Ohio Dominican, who obviously they run the table in our league last year, the conference champs at home. Then you got to go back to Ferris with a rivalry game. So we got to be ready to go. Our first 3 games are going to be a huge challenge. And then the GLIAC has completely changed up its format and its schedule with now 15 teams in the league. The only 4 teams that Grand Valley doesn't play is Walsh, Malone, Northern Michigan, and Northwood. And if you look at the combined records of those versus the teams we play, we have the toughest schedule in the league.
Sure.
And there's no room for the error. There's no margin for error. We got to go. And our whole schedule is very competitive. And you've seen what the GLIAC has done. So we've got a very tough draw in 2014, home and away. But we're looking forward to the challenges. Like I said, our first 3 games are really going to tell the tale of our 2014 season. It's
an exciting day here in Allendale, and obviously an exciting start to the 2014 calendar year. Coach, congratulations again on a great signing day, and we look forward to great things from you guys in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching this National Signing Day interview right here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.